This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so this is a demo session actually. Okay, in this demo session, my agenda is I will share what are the contents going to cover as part of the course and what you will achieve once the course is finished. Okay, that is the main agenda of this session. All right.
Okay.
So we'll start with the Mule introduction. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mule introduction, and I will share my course content also at the same time parallelly. Okay. So what is going to cover as part of the course, right? So
Okay.
Mule is it's called an integration platform or enterprise service bus, right? So that you may head off because you are from the integration background like the Timco. The similar kind of activities performed in the Mule. Whatever you're doing in TIPCO, a similar kind of activities we perform in the Mule, right?
Mhm. Okay.
So why why the ESB required? Why ESB come into picture? Okay, what is an application integration? We start with the application integration. Application integration. So I'm treating you don't know about the integration. Okay, bear with me for some time. Okay, Sham.
Yeah, actually, I don't know.
Yeah. As you work at TIPCO, I'm not means okay.
I'm not yet started. I'm not yet started. They just took me to the project. They haven't given me the even KT as well. They haven't started the KT2.
Okay. So the term itself in application integration means there are so many applications are there. We need to integrate those applications. Okay. So where the applications are exist, application integration where the applications are exist. Applications are exist in your business, your enterprise, right? So if you have a small supermarket or some small provision store, you will have one machine or one software. Okay, you will have machine with one simple software that will serve your business. Okay, by serve your entire business, what your today's sales and today's whatever income, other things, right? So
Yeah.
if your business is enterprise business, spans across multiple countries, there are so many departments are there in your business, very big business. So in
Yeah.
that case, a one single application will serve your business.
Oh no. It requires a lot of
Okay.
applications. Yeah.
For a single provision store, one simple component is enough. But one an enterprise business. So if you see any business, any big business, sorry, I'm not moving further. Okay. Any business like HSBC Bank. As you mentioned, HSBC banks has millions of customers across the globe. Okay, so this bank has several departments inside. There will be finance department, and sales and marketing, and insurances, and loans, credit cards, and HR. Okay, like HR operations, so many departments will there for a big company, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, there may be a software component associated for each department. Right? This software component will manage the operations of this particular department, right? So there will be different, so many software components are there for an enterprise business. You may call them modules, or you can call them department wise. They will for a big business like HSBC or Coca-Cola or ICICI Bank, there is no one big single component, one big single software module that will serve entire business needs, right? So for a big business, there are so many software components are there. They will internally interacting to each other to achieve your business goal, right?
Yes.
Right. So they will talk to each other and they will achieve a business goal. This is your HSBC ecosystem, and your software components sometimes may talk to the different banks software components or different third-party systems also. Okay.
Yeah.
Then if you develop architecture like this, every department is there, every software component talking to other department software component directly, then what is the disadvantage? Okay, now there is no middleman in between these components. They are talking directly to each other. Okay. In this scenario, what happens, right? One thing, these are all different software components. They are not developed by a single company. Maybe the finance component developed by Wipro, and the sales and marketing component may be developed by Infosys, and insurance component may be developed by TCS, right? So different
Yeah.
components deliver different kinds of software components. They may be developed on different platforms, different technology altogether, right?
Yes. Yes.
Then in order to integrate a call in between these systems, you need to write some software components that will make this integration. Because if example, this finance is operating an XML based payloads, and the sales is operating on JSON based payloads. Okay, so if you want to integrate the finance component to the sales component, what need to do, if you the finance component sends XML directly to the sales won't understand the XML, right? So
Yes.
the responsibility of finance component, it has to transform the JSON into XML. It has to write some sample software code that will transform the XML to JSON, and that JSON is sent to the sales component. Okay, and once the sales component returns a JSON back, it's again transform that JSON to XML and the parse that data, right?
Yeah.
So each and every component has these kinds of things, transforming and sending the request to other component, all those things, right? One thing. And one more thing is here, this finance component is deployed on a machine, one specific machine, like some IP address 10.1.2.3, something like this. And the sales are deployed in different machine, 11.6.2.1, maybe. Okay, so if finance want to talk to sales, then it has to configure this IP address where actually the sales component is up and running here in the finance. Okay, and where actually how to connect to that system, and what is the username and passwords, all the things you need to store connectivity configuration in the finance system, right?
Yes.
If you configure the connectivity, then only you can able to connect and you be able to send some request to the sales
Sales.
guys.
Yes.
Right? So this connectivity configuration also you need to manage over here in the finance. Okay. Then in your company, there are hundreds of components are there. You are talking to hundreds of components. Then you need to manage all the components connectivity configuration. Okay, to whatever component you are interacting with, you need to manage those component connectivity configuration.
Yes.
I'm sorry with the terminology, component instance is application.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you have so many applications. So if your finance is talking to 10 applications, it has to manage 10 applications connectivity configuration, where that application is running and what is the username and password, how to connect to that system, all should be managed in your component. Okay, so one burden is you need to manage the connectivity configuration, how to connect to that system, and after connecting, how to send the payload. Can I send exactly payload whatever have it has a XML payload? Can I send XML? Can I means the finance? Can finance send XML directly to the other component, or it required any transformation? If required transformation, it has to manage the transformations also.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So likewise, I'm taking example as a finance. It applies to each and every component in your integration, right? Not only finance. If loan system, loan also manage all the this kind of things. Loan connectivity configuration and transformation configuration. Critical also do all this type the kind of things, right?
Yes. Similar way they have to follow.
Okay. Okay. What happens is now I'm the for sales. I'm changing the machine to different machine due to some my mission upgradation or whatever some reason. I'm changing the machine IP address to different kinds of IP address. Okay. If I change my sales sales application to different machine, now the finance can able to talk to sales.
Now we should have to update latest updated connection information.
Exactly. We need to update the connectivity configuration, right?
Yes.
So not only finance, there are loans also talking to sales, and credit card also talking to sales, and HR also talking to sales. Now, you need to change the connectivity configuration in all the component, all the applications, right?
Yes.
If you change the connectivity configuration and you to redeploy all the applications, so it requires your production downtime and it will impact your business. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And if sales is operating on the JSON, now sales is coming saying that boss, I'm no more operating on the JSON payload. I'm changing my entire structure, my software. I'm operating on different kinds of payload. Then you need to change the JSON transformer and you need to write your own transformer that will transform XML to that kind of payload, that kind of data format, right?
Yes.
So in this case of this point-to-point integration, there are so many these kinds of drawbacks are there, right? So what industry recommends is initially when application grows, the architecture evolves like this point-to-point architecture, and they feel because of this architecture there is so much business downtime and so much management burden. So they come up with an architecture called application integration through enterprise service bus. Okay,
Okay.
application integration through enterprise service bus architecture. Okay. So now the similar kind of scenario, if we have any middleman, a broker in between these applications, how the things work. Okay, we analyze that things now. See, yeah, Sham, till now, any doubts?
No doubts. I'm clear with this.
Sure, exactly. Excellent. You can anytime you can stop me and you can ask if you have any question. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Now, assume the similar architecture I will be is finance, sales and marketing, insurance, loan. Okay. Now, how I changed my architecture is I'm not allowing the applications to talk each other directly. They should communicate through a middleman, broker, right? So what I'm doing, I'm placing a broker between all these applications. Okay. So we analyze what is the advantage if the applications are talking through broker. Okay, there are so many ESBs are there before Mule only, not only ESB in the market. Before Mule also, there were so many ESBs coming to market. Okay, so first initially we see what is an enterprise service bus. Okay, like we travel using our normal bus in one place to other place, right? At one place we board the bus and other place we drop the bus, right? So similarly, this enterprise service bus picks up the messages in one application and drops the message to the other application. Okay. In the enterprise service bus, message is going to travel.
Okay.
Right? Message will be traveled between the applications. So that is called a service bus. Okay. Now assume the similar kind of earlier scenario what we discussed. If there is an ESB in between, it is an enterprise service bus. Okay. Now all the applications are they're talking through the ESB. Okay.
Okay.
Like a similar example, finance is operating on XML based payloads and sales is on the JSON based payloads. Okay. Now, finance need to send a message. Finance application. Finance means finance application. Don't means. I'm sorry, my terminology is bad.
Yeah, I'm able to understand.
Yeah, finance application want to send a message to the sales application. Okay, if finance application want to send a message to the sales application, in the ESB, the finance, assume this is one of the path that will connect your finance to sales. Okay, so the finance application want to send a message sales application. I will configure one source inbound that will finance can able to send the message to this point, inbound point. Okay. I'm saying that this is on one place, one port, like 81 port or 90 port, something. I'll give some place. So what I'm saying that I'm sorry, yeah, connectivity details.
Okay.
Okay. So finance can send a message to this point. Okay.
Okay.
So here what I can do is I will take the message to the finance, and what the sales understand? Sales understand this. Sales won't understand this XML, right? Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't.
They take the message and transform that XML to JSON. Okay. You want to do some more anything modifications, whatever the message you want to, if business needs, then transform it, and that is sent to the sales application. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, where the sales is running, all the things means the sales is running on 11.6.2.3, that IP address is there. So I'll configure it at this point where I will send. I'll configure. I'm sending that to the sales application. Right. Now finance does not have this configuration where actually to connect to finance sales and how to send. This guy doesn't know about anything. What this guy knows is there is some point configured in the ESB. I need to send the message to that point. Okay, so finance will send that message to this point, and ESB picks up that point and do the transformation and delivers that message to the sales application. Right?
Yeah.
Now there is no connectivity configuration required in the finance. You remove the connectivity configuration. It's not bothering about how to connect to sales and how to send the message. Okay, that button is moved to the ESB layer, right? This guy
Yes.
know how to talk to, how to connect to the sales and how to send the message.
Yes.
And the message transformation also. And it doesn't need to have any component that will transform the XML to JSON. No, there's no more required over here. Whatever the payload it have, the XML or XYZ, that is sent to ESB. Okay. In the
Yeah.
ESB, it will take the burden of transforming the message that is understandable by the target application, sales application. Getting the Sham?
Yes, I'm getting your point.
If finance want to talk to the credit card, for suppose, so there is one more path defined in our ESB layer. The finance will send a message to this path. Okay, this
Yeah.
path has a different credit card is working on credit card. For credit card application, we need to store the message to a file, some FTP server. From that credit card application, pick the message. For suppose there is this kind of architecture is there. Okay. Now,
Okay.
finance application, this ESB picks up that message from the finance. Okay, and it will transform that message to the message the credit card application understands. Okay.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
it will store that message to a file. Then credit card application pick up that message from the file.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So tomorrow what happens is you're saying that my finance application I'm changing to the sales is changing to different machine, different
Okay.
machine. Okay, from 11.6.20 to some 120.8 some other machine. Okay.
Okay.
Now can I going to change in finance, in insurance, in credit card? These applications got impacted because of this
No,
change?
no, it doesn't
No,
get.
no, I will change the thing in the ESB
ESP.
layer.
Yes.
Okay, in
Yes.
the layer, so that will get message got delivered. So only one place in the ESB layer only I will change. Rest of all application doesn't have any impact because of this change.
Yes.
Okay. So because this is a great advantage of an ESB. Okay. ESB for two or three applications is not recommendable. Placing an ESB in between 2-3 applications. Okay. If you have the 10 applications, 8 applications, more than 8 or 10 applications, then ESB, introducing ESB is a good idea. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm sharing my course contents over here. One moment. Yeah. So Sham, this is a core developer approach course. Okay. Once
Okay.
this course is finished, you can able to carry out the day-to-day activities of a core Mule developer. That is the goal of this course.
Okay.
So we start with the Mule, and we discuss about the flows. Flow is like this Mule. So here for connecting one application to other application, I defined this arrangement, right? Take the message,
Yes, configuration.
process
Yes,
the
configuration.
message, and send the message. Yeah.
Yeah, configuration part in the ESP. Yes, right.
Yeah. This thing you can call as a flow.
Okay.
The sequential arrangements of the components that message is traveled across the components and reach the destination. So we discuss about the flows. The flows will connect to the applications flows, and what are the different components of flows, how the flows are, what is the event processors. Flow contains the event source and event processors. Discuss about these are the components of the flows. Okay, and we discuss the Mule event basics, and the next is about the Anypoint Studio, where you're going to develop your Mule applications. All the about Anypoint Studio. So today's session is about this thing. We'll discuss about the Anypoint Studio and all the things. And the second thing comes to, yeah.
We didn't discuss about any points today as of now. Only we
Yeah,
discussed this.
I'll show you the Anypoint Studio now.
Okay.
Okay. And about the flows, now it contains the detailed information about the flows, and how to connect to multiple flows, what are different ways to connect multiple flows, and there is some component, a VM component that used to connect flows. We discussed about the VM component and types of flows and the variables. You declare variables like you declare in any programming language. So how to declare a variable, how to make use of variable, all the things discussed as part of the flows. This is a basic fundamental chapter in the Mule.
Okay.
Next, coming to Mule domain. So if you have 10 applications in your integration space, these 10 applications are talking to same database. Assume that. Okay. In that case, usually uh, each application need to have the connectivity configuration to the database.
Yes.
Okay. So the thing is, the application, the database configuration is redundant in your application. So what we can do is this kind of the configuration is shareable across all applications. So we make one project as a shareable project. So all this shared configuration we define in one project, and that project is called domain project. Okay. So it's like this. If we explain in the slide, there are 10 applications. Assume there are 10 applications.
Yeah.
And it has to talk to two databases. 10 applications talking to two databases. Some Oracle and MySQL. Right. So in this case, if your application want to talk to database, it has to have the database configuration where actually the database is there, and what is the database name, what is username, password connected to the database, all the things, right?
Yes.
So this should have, this should have, this should have, this should have. Right. Tomorrow, if you want to change the database username and password or whatever some configuration, you need to go and change in each and every place, right?
Yes.
So what we do is we don't configure that these databases in each and every project. We will configure in one single project. Whatever databases we're talking about, all this configuration we configure in one single project, and this project is called as domain project, and we associate all the project to the domain project. Okay. And these are called child projects. whatever the configuration defined in this domain project is inherited to all the child projects. They can directly use software and they can able to calculate database. Okay. So this is called a domain project where we define the shareable configuration across all the projects. Okay. So we see how to create a domain project and how to associate a child project to the domain project, and how to define a property files in YAML, property files in Mule. These things we discussed as part of domain project.
Okay.
Next thing is interacting with the database. So how to connect to the database and how to send a query, how to execute a query on the database, and how to execute a stored procedure. These things we discussed as part of the interaction with the database. Okay.
So does it require the database skill set?
Basic knowledge should be required.
Okay.
You need to have idea about the select statements. You need to have a idea of the insert statements, how to insert a record, how to select a record. Okay. You should not be a database expert, but you should have some basic knowledge on the database.
Okay. Yeah.
And next, coming to interaction with external systems. So as part of the Mule, till now we discussed with application integration across the internal, external, whatever. If application want to talk to other application, like one moment, where's my slide?
Yeah.
One moment. Yeah, you need to have there are two kinds of web services like SOAP and REST. Okay, so if any service that exposed as a SOAP or REST, how you consume that service into Mule, right? And after consumption, like I said, you need to transform the message. Transform message means saying that there is external service, one service, then your client service that is up and running in one machine, in one place. So client will provide where actually the details where it is running. So you will invoke that service and get the response, right? After getting the response, you need to do some kind of transformation. Okay. So you need to extract the information from that response, whatever required information from that response, and you can make use that information to store to database or to call other service, right? So you need to do some data transformation, right?
Yeah.
So that thing we discussed as part of this thing. Very, very important thing. This is a heart and brain of your Mule. That is data transformation. For that, we will use a language called a data view language. Data view. Okay. It is very, very important concept in the Mule that the data view is used to transform any data format to any data format. XML to payload, XML to JSON, JSON to XML, XML to CSV, Java to XML, like that. Okay. So we'll see the basic data view to advanced data view configurations. Okay. At the same time, data view is very, very, very huge, concept. We will touch each and every concept, but afterwards you need to put your effort and your practice to get master on this data view. Okay. It's not possible to cover each and every corner of the data view. I will take you in a position you can self-explore the data view. You can able to learn more.
Okay.
So we discuss about data view transformations.
This is for developing a code, writing a code. Is it this language data view?
Exactly. We need to write the code. We need to develop the code.
Okay. Shall we use a Java or Python script for this to develop any code?
Exactly. You can use a Java code, use a Python code. You can integrate those codes also. That option is there in the Mule.
Okay. Yeah.
Next thing is about routing the message. Means based on some condition, you need to route the message to different end systems. How to configure the condition? Okay, it's like this. There is
It's
one.
like one too many systems.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you need to send a message to the file system. You need to store the file, and the same message you want to store to database, and you want to store the message to messaging queue. Okay.
Yeah.
And based on some condition, there is one condition is true, you want to store to the file.
Mm-hmm.
If condition is false, other condition is true, you want to store to the database. Other condition true, you want to store to the messaging queue. So
Okay.
there is some condition based routing is there in the Mule with choice router. We see how to configure the choice router. Okay. And afterwards, there is a component called scatter gather. So scatter gather will send message to all the associated paths concurrently at the same time.
Okay.
So we see the scatter gather and the choice routers as part of the routing. And you know about JMS, right? Anytime you JMS, messaging queues.
Yeah, I worked on JMS during this build. MQ.
Exactly. So from the Mule, how to send a message to JMS and how to pick up the message from the JMS. So these things we discussed as part of the message routing and JMS section. Okay.
Okay.
And next thing is error handling. While processing a message, if you encounter any error, how to
Mm-hmm.
manage that error, how to handle that error, what are different kinds of error handling strategies at application level, at flow level, at processor level. On this we will discuss about error handling section over here. And next coming to RAML. Now everything we develop as an API, application programming interface. Okay. So your integration logic also will develop as an API. We expose the integration logic and API so that your clients can use that API, can consume your integration logic. Okay. So you have idea of APIs?
No, I didn't have it.
So it's very simple. Like if you use the Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are using a Facebook, you manually logging into Facebook with username and password, right?
Yes.
And you're posting a message to your friends or comments. You're doing some comments on the Facebook.
Yes.
Okay. So what your goal is, you developed one application. Okay. And your application want to post a message to Facebook, not you. Is it possible?
Mhm. No, we should allow it to authorize first.
Okay. Yes. If you are manually interacting with the Facebook, you your authorize means you will give your credentials, all the things, right?
Yes, yes.
Means how you interacting with the Facebook is Facebook UI is there, graphical user interface is there,
Yes, yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Using GUI, a user can able to interact with Facebook, but Facebook also publishes one thing called an API. Facebook API is really there.
Mhm. Okay.
Facebook publish an API. So this API is intended to the applications, any third-party applications. Those who want to talk to Facebook, for those Facebook publish an API, that API given to your applications. Okay. So this API contains how to connect to Facebook, and after connecting, how to send a message to Facebook, some send message, and how to post comment to Facebook, post comment. These all features given in this API to the client applications. Okay. Using that API, any application able to connect to Facebook and send a message and post a comment. Okay.
Okay.
For applications, you require an API, application programming interface. Like for users, it required graphical user interface, GUI. Okay. Now using the Facebook API, you can develop one application. That application will connect to Facebook and able to post a message to Facebook. Okay. Not only Facebook, if you use a Google Drive is an API.
Okay.
Okay. To upload a file to Google Drive or to download a file to Google Drive, Google Drive derives all the features in API that contains the methods upload file, download file, like that, authenticate. So you don't require manually to connect to Google Drive. Your application, you can develop one application. That application will connect to Google Drive and upload a file to Google Drive. Okay. But that it requires is Google Drive API is required. If you provide the Google Drive API to your application, using that API, the application is able to interact with the Google Drive, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, for your integration, whatever doing integration, you can publish an API. Boss, this is the integration I'm doing, so that your client can make use your integration using that API. Okay. So your integrations, whatever doing your integration, your flows, all the things you develop, and you can define an API. That API is given to your client. Your client can blindly use an API. You can able to consume your integrations.
It's like a client and server. They will configure our APIs which we developed, and so that we can able to connect our application with their application.
Yep.
Okay.
Now we see how to develop and how to design an API, how to develop an API, how to deploy an API using the RAML, testing an API, and this is regarding API kit.
What is this RAML? RAML.
RAML stands for RESTful API Modeling Language.
Okay.
So for designing an API and exposing that API as a REST application. We see the REST basics and how to design an application and how to develop the source code for that in the Anypoint Studio. Okay. So here we see one full-fledged software application in the Mule. We'll take one use case and we will design that use case and we provide implementation. So at this point, you are aware of the error handling. At this point, means you learn about the JMS, you learn about the database, and you learn about how to interact with external systems. So you will use all the features and you develop one mini project at RAML level. Okay. So that you can connect all the dots at this point and you will have the entire broad scope of how the applications, how your Mule application developed. So these things you will know as part of this RAML. Okay. Next is the batch processing. If you want to process very huge jobs, how to segregate those jobs and how to process that jobs in batches. That thing we discuss as batch processing. Okay. And next thing is the deployments. Like you deploy, where to deploy your application, you need to deploy your application to application server in your company, or you can deploy application to the Cloud Hub. Cloud Hub is given by the MuleSoft. So we see how to deploy application to a runtime server running in your server and how to deploy application to the Cloud Hub. These things we see as part of deployment and operations. Okay. And final part is a unit. We discuss about unit testing framework, how to test your application, how to make sure your application is working as expected. These things. Okay.
See what? Can you please tell me process and data source? What will happen?
I'm sorry.
Ninth one. Course content ninth one. What will happen in this?
In this, there are there are 1,000 records you need to process from the database. Example.
Okay.
Okay. There is one thing like this. So I'll explain with the scenario.
Yeah.
Every financial year ending, you need to calculate the tax for an employee, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you have a database, and this database, your company having 1,000 employees. Okay. So you need to calculate the tax of for each and every employee. Okay. Usually what happens is all the employees is taken at 1,000 employees loaded to your application. Okay. And you will get all the 1,000 records. 1,000 records are there. And you will take one employee, you loop the employee, take one employee and calculate the tax. After tax, put the tax information to some file and take the second employee, calculate the tax and put the tax information to file like that. You're doing like that, for example. Okay.
Okay.
So you did about 998 employees, and some reason 999th employee got errored. He has some required, it doesn't have some required information or whatever, some reason. This you are not able to calculate the 999th employee and your application throws an error. So what is usually throws is it throws the entire operation of the field.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. And at the same time, if you employee, you are having employee information about the 10,000 employees, example, loading all the 10,000 employees and processing all the 10,000 employees at a time, it will sometimes your machine will hang and your application will get down,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So for that, what we can do is we segregate the 10,000 employee in batches of 100 employees. Take the first 100 employees, process it, and second 100 employees, process it. Okay. So we will make the huge jobs into batches.
Okay.
So there is a batch processing component in the Mule. How to segregate your huge jobs, how to decompose your huge jobs to batches and do the processing, batch process.
Okay.
So we discussed about batch process at this point. Okay.
Okay.
Batch processing, deployments, and the unit testing. Okay.
Unit testing is it? 11th one.
Unit testing, unit testing.
What does it mean?
Unit
Unit
testing.
testing. Unit testing means.
So there is a unit testing framework in Mule that is called MUnit. Mule unit testing.
Okay.
Okay.
So what will test here?
In see your flow, right? Um, what is the payload, and for this payload, what is the expected output? You're doing
Okay.
some transformation.
Okay.
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 So after transformation, is it transformed properly or not? That things.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm showing you the AnyPoint Studio. Okay, this is AnyPoint Studio. This extreme left is called an application navigator, application explorer, or package explorer. We can see all the projects over here. Yeah.
Okay.
And the extreme right is component palette, which is component palette. You drag and drop the component over here in the middle canvas area. You can develop the integration like this.
Okay.
And the down, my cursor is there. You can see the property file. You want to configure one component. You click on the component, the corresponding properties were displayed in this area. Now you can configure that component. Okay.
Okay.
And sometime if you deploy the application, right? So here you can see the progress of your deployment, how the deployment is going on, is an error or properly deployed like this. So this is an console and the properties section. Okay. Now I'm going to develop one sample small application, new project. Mm. So in this, we want to integrate your Google Chrome browser and the Mule. Okay. So Google Chrome send a message to the Mule, and Mule will send response back to Chrome.
Okay.
And create a project. So if you create a project, I just create a project that is sample demo. Okay. There is one file with the same project name as created over here, sample demo.xml. Okay. So
Okay.
this file we will define integration. Right. So as I told, my goal of my integration is I want to interact with the Google Drive. Google Chrome will send a message to the Mule. Okay. I'm exposing one port so that the Google can able to send the message to that port. Okay. So for that, I'm exposing HTTP listener. So I'm saying the Google Chrome saying that boss send your message to this point. So that point I'm configuring over here. It's localhost 8081, right?
Okay.
So I'm exposing the localhost 8081. I'm asking Google Chrome to send a message to this localhost 8081. Once you send the message, I'm sending a response back to Chrome using some setting payload. This will set the payload back to Chrome. So I'm sending a simple message saying that welcome to Mule. So Google Chrome will send a message to the Mule over this localhost 8081, and Mule responds back with this message. Okay. So I'm deploying the application, run the project, so you can see the progress over here in the console, how the application is getting deployed.
What is JVM?
Where is JVM? JVM, right?
JVM.
Java Virtual Machine.
Okay.
Where your Java applications are run in an environment that is called Java Virtual Machine.
Okay.
It's deployed. Okay. It's deployed. I'm sending a message from Chrome. HTTP localhost 8081. Okay. I send the message. So that is received by your Mule, and Mule sent response back to Chrome saying that welcome to Mule. Okay.
Okay.
So this is very basic thing. Chrome is interacting with the Mule. Now next we see how what message is sent from Chrome to Mule, and how the Mule receives that message and processes the message, and the message sent back to the Chrome what the components of that message we'll see in the next session. Okay.
Okay.
So that is about Mule introduction. Sham, if you have any questions.
No, bro, nothing. I understand clearly, very clear.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
we'll continue with these timings at 7:30 every day.
Confirm, right?
Yeah, confirmed. I'm sure.
Okay then. Okay then.
Yeah,
We'll see you tomorrow morning, right? Okay.
yeah, sure. Thank you, bro.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.